From Chicago streets to the court's beat, South Scott Dan on the podcast seat. Bulls breaking news, talking stats and views. Every player, every play, we never lose. Horns over hoops, where the Bulls troop. From game analysis to fan scoop.
What's good, Bulls fans and Horniacs? We have a special episode for you today. A little bit different than normal. Usually we talk about Bulls, but March Madness is right around the corner. So we thought we would do a breakdown of the tournaments. Sal and Dan have the night off, but I have some guests. Austin and Eric join me today. We're going to basically break down the tournament, go through all the games, talk about who are some of the lower seeds we think could make some runs and be dangerous. Do a little bit of betting tips, and then if we have time, if you guys have questions about certain games you want us to talk about, we'll go through it. So let's get started. What do you guys think about the tournament? Like, which teams do you think are best built for March right now?
Yeah, going into this tournament, I think this year the field it's pretty top heavy. So I wouldn't be shocked if there's a lot of chalk going into like the Final Four as far as contenders go. You got to give it to Duke and Auburn right now. Those teams are both rolling. I know Auburn struggled a little bit recently, but I think through the tournament they shouldn't be struggling too much. And Bruce Pearl will definitely find a way for them to make a run this year.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Scott. One of the better weeks of the year, so pretty exciting. Little break from the NBA, but yeah, as Austin mentioned, really top heavy this year. We basically have 4 2024 UConns, in my opinion. The 2 seeds are traditionally what would be 1s in previous years, and between that, it's kind of a mess. Seeds 3 to 10, it's really jumbled. I would not be shocked by anything. And then from 12 to 16, the conference tournaments were pretty chalky. I think 11 seeds won. So, no, it should be interesting. We got a lot of good teams in this tournament. Should be one of the better tournaments in a while.
Oh, that's good. We've had, like last year, UConn just ran over everybody. So I'm really hoping for a tournament that we're going to have some competitive games. But there is one team that I was kind of surprised made it, which was UNC. Do you guys think they should have made it over, say, Indiana?
Not at all. I mean, they're 1-12 in quad 1 wins, and that alone should not get you in the tournament. When there's teams like West Virginia who have a few more quad 1 wins than that and are way more deserving of that spot, I think it's a little disrespectful to some teams. Like I mentioned, West Virginia, Indiana. I think those guys should have gotten in for UNC. I know there's some controversy going on with that. Their AD, Bubba Cunningham, he is the committee chair for the committee who's deciding who's getting in this tournament. So that tells you all you need to know about them getting in the tournament.
Yeah, may have been some peer pressure on the committee there for sure. Now, do I think UNC should have gotten in? No, but now that they are in, I think the draw they got is quite favorable. So we'll talk about that more as we go through games later. But I mean, starting off with San Diego State, then they probably get Ole Miss, and then pretty easy path I see. So now that they are in, they are one of the more dangerous teams. I mean, they played close games on neutrals against Auburn, Michigan State, Florida. So 3 of the top 5 teams in this tournament. So do I think they should have gotten in with the resume? No. But now that they are in, they definitely are one of the more dangerous teams. So should be interesting.
Yeah, it seems like both college football and basketball, there's some controversial decisions who makes it. So makes it fun.
Yeah, and right before the selection show, I mean, Carolina, they were plus 600 to get into the tournament. Indiana was, I mean, they were minus 4,000. So really surprised when I saw their name flash up. But yeah, Blue Bloods typically get the favorable calls here. So now that they're in, we'll see.
All right. Nathan wants to know what we think about Michigan. We are actually going to go through all the games, so we can go through it since Michigan's in the first or in the South region, so we can start with that. Obviously, Auburn's playing the winner of Alabama State and St. Francis. I don't really see Auburn losing that game, but Virginia pulled it off one year, so.
Yeah, no, the ones are too good this year. There will not be any 16 upsets. I would be shocked. No chance.
Yeah,
All right.
if Auburn lost that game, Bruce Pearl's not on the hot seat at all, but you would have to start to ask some questions.
Yeah, Alabama State should get through St. Francis. They forced quite a few turnovers. The SWAC has not fared well, but yeah, Auburn will be overwhelming, and that will not be close. So, but yeah, the winner, Louisville Creighton, sorry. That'll be an interesting 8-9 game. What are your thoughts on that one, Austin?
For that, I'm pretty conflicted as a Cats fan here. Louisville, I think these are going to be essentially home games for them. They're in Lexington playing these games. Creighton can be dangerous, and I wouldn't put it past my fellow Kentucky fans to go flood Rupp Arena just to cheer against Louisville in those games and kind of make it a little home game for Creighton. But I think Louisville is really underseeded going into this, with all due respect. Like an 8 seed for them, that's a little too low for me. They were projected a 5 or 6 seed at the most, and 8 I think is a little disrespectful from the committee. So now I think they have that chip on their shoulder. They're going to be playing in state, where they're going to probably have that advantage with the fans all being there. So I'm giving that to Louisville all day.
Yeah, it should be a good game. Two well-coached teams. First game of the day, Thursday. It's a high variance game. Both teams ranked top 20 in 3-point attempts. So really, to me, it's a coin flip game. The home court for Louisville will help. But yeah, it's an interesting game. I don't think either team can get past Auburn. But yeah, no, should be an interesting game.
All right. Michigan versus San Diego, Cal San Diego, or what, UC San Diego. Like Nathan said, Michigan was red hot. They just came off winning the Big Ten, a couple upsets against Wisconsin. I believe they beat Michigan State also to make it to the championship. So UC San Diego is one of the teams that people have talked about as being a sleeper. What do you guys think? Is this a chance for a lower seed upset, or is Michigan going to keep rolling?
I think Michigan very well could keep rolling here. I mean, they're coming into this red hot, like you said, and I think they're a really well-coached team. Dusty May's come there this year, and he's really kind of exceeded expectations, for me at least. Usually when you have a first-year head coach, there's going to be some ups and downs throughout the year, which Michigan has had their downs this year, but right now they're getting good at the right time. And UC San Diego can be dangerous. They hit a high volume of threes. They take a lot of threes. And I think they're going to be coming into this tournament with a lot of motivation. This is their first year that they're actually eligible to be in the tournament. So I think they really are coming in with something to prove. But at the end of the day, I think Michigan is going to get it done. Their 3-point shooting lately has been really streaky. So if they're having a bad shooting night, they're really susceptible to getting upset in that game. But as far as UC San Diego, I'm not too concerned right now.
Yeah, it's going to come down to turnovers. I mean, everyone knows Michigan ranks dead last in the Big Ten in turnovers. And San Diego, number 1 turnover margin in the country. So if Michigan turns it over 20 times, they're going to lose. It's that simple. But, I watched quite a bit of San Diego in their conference tournament. Was not impressed. They're not the most athletic team. They lack size. I think their tallest player is 6'8". So going up against Golden and Wolf down low may be an issue. Again, it's a high variance game. San Diego chucks a ton of threes. So if you want to play the game, maybe a first half San Diego bet. I think that might be what I play. But I think Michigan wins the game eventually. Size will overwhelm San Diego. It is their 4th game in 8 days. So that's something to keep an eye on. But no, I think Michigan's too much here. I think San Diego's a trendy dog. A lot of people are going to pick them, but Michigan should pull this one out.
All right. Next game, Texas A&M and Yale. Yale was pulled a big upset last year. They have 3 starters coming back. Can they do it again and upset Texas A&M?
Yeah, I think this also is a trendy upset pick going around right now, but I think that's for the right reasons. Just like UC San Diego, Yale's going to be shooting a lot of threes, and they're going to be making a lot of threes. Texas A&M's more of a gritty defensive team, and last year, James Jones, the Yale coach, he lost Danny Wolf to Michigan, and lost Matt Noling to USC, arguably his 2 best players, and he's continued to go on without having them this year and get Yale back in this tournament, and I think they're coming into this rolling, and I think they're pulling off this upset.
Yeah, I mean, if it was a 3-point contest, Yale would win by 100. A&M, they can't shoot at all. But, in the tournament, when you can't make shots, you need to have other ways to score. And, A&M's first in the country in offensive rebounds. They force turnovers. As someone who picked Auburn to win it last year, when they got knocked out by Yale in the first round, that was tough. But 2 years in a row, I don't think so. I think Buzz Williams is a good enough coach here. I think A&M just going to overwhelm Yale on the glass. Get to the free throw line a ton. And I don't know how they keep Wade Taylor out of the lane. He's one of the quickest players in the country. I don't see it with Yale. Really good team, well coached. Ivy League typically does pretty well, but I think this A&M team is really solid. And if there is a team in the South that can challenge Auburn, I think it is A&M. Buzz Williams has kind of owned Bruce Pearl in the past couple of years. So it's a boom or bust team. It's a high variance team. If you want to look for some value in your bracket, A&M may be worth a shot. But I do think they get by Yale. Just overwhelm them on the glass. I don't think it's particularly close.
Yeah, and if we do end up seeing that Auburn-Texas A&M matchup in the South region, the equipment managers are going to be working overtime bringing those coaches the towels, because that might be the 2 sweatiest coaches in the country.
Yep, and it would for sure be a 3-hour game because that's how the SEC goes. No, it's an interesting little quadrant up there in the South. I think those are the 2 best teams. So, yeah, it should be a good Lexington and Denver region.
Yeah. Next game, we already know Eric's answer. The Ole Miss San Diego State UNC game. Both UNC and San Diego State, 11 seeds, which not something we're used to seeing. So, Austin, who do you think takes this one?
Yeah, I have Ole Miss all the way. Chris Beard, great coach. I think this is his year where he finally kind of gets things back going for himself and really just makes a run. I don't know if they'll end up going down and beating MSU in the tournament, but I know I have him beating whoever wins. San Diego State or UNC, I have him beating both those guys.
Yeah, Ole Miss definitely has a coaching edge here, especially if they play North Carolina. If Carolina wins, I think they will beat San Diego State. Let's start there, I guess. The Mountain West has just been dreadful. The last 10 years in the tournament, I think they've won 30% of their games. It's even worse if you exclude San Diego State. They're kind of the one bright spot. But, if it follows suit here, I think Carolina rolls past them. There'll be a pick 'em with Ole Miss on a neutral. They are out-coached, but the talent gap is significant. So I think Carolina has a really good shot to win that game. And as I mentioned earlier, Carolina, They played 3 of the top 5 teams this year on a neutral: Florida, Auburn, Michigan State. All 3 games were close. So they're a dangerous team. They shouldn't be in the tournament. But now that they are, I think they get by Ole Miss, and they can make some noise here.
If UNC doesn't win, do you think they move on from Herbert, or they kind of keep rolling with him?
Yeah, I think they recently extended him on a 2-year deal, which I was surprised about. I know there were some Bill Self rumors to Carolina potentially, but yeah, no, I think he's locked in there for a couple more years, which is surprising. But he's not the best coach, so. But I think he has enough here.
Nathan needs a lock of the century from you, Eric.
Well, I know I just bashed the Mountain West, so we'll get there. We'll get there a little later.
All right, Iowa State, Lincecum.
Yeah, I got Iowa State here. I know Keyshawn Gilbert, arguably their best player, out for the rest of the year with injury, but I just don't see a way Lipscomb is winning this game. Iowa State's still too good. They're great offensively. They're great defensively. They could make a run if Keyshawn Gilbert was still healthy with them. I think they'll go decently far, but I don't see them losing this to Lipscomb at all.
Yeah, he's out for the year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough blow. Defense wins early in the tournament, especially with these big favorites. Iowa State rolls. Lipscomb is soft. I thought they should have lost to North Alabama in the conference tournament. I don't see them hanging with Iowa State. I think Iowa State wins by 25 here.
Thanks. That's probably one of the bigger blowouts. Speaking of the Mountain West, New Mexico and Marquette. Marquette, normally a higher seed, so 7 seed this year.
Yeah, I got New Mexico State in this one. Marquette, a little streaky this year. Shaka Smart always seems to somehow overwelcome his stay wherever he's coaching at, and we may be seeing the first inklings of that here at Marquette. I just don't think they're built like they have been in previous years, and I think they're not going to get past New Mexico State here.
Yeah, they definitely took a step back from last year, losing Kolek, getting upset in the Elite Eight last year. But again, it's the Mountain West, and I just can't trust this conference. I'm never going to pick them. I thought the committee actually did a pretty good job this year with the Mountain West. Typically, they overseed them. This year, they're more in the 10-11 range, but still, and especially Patino. I can't trust him in a big game. As a Minnesota fan, there's always an 8-minute stretch where the team's going to score 2 points. It happened last year in the tournament. They got blown out to Clemson. It's going to happen again. There'll be an 8-minute stretch, probably the middle of the first half. They'll score 2 points. I don't like Shaka either. He's gone out 6 times in the first round, but I think Marquette has enough here to get past New Mexico. I would probably lay the 4 as well. So as much as I don't like either team.
All right, and then last game in the South is Michigan versus Bryant, or Michigan State versus Bryant.
Yeah, it's got to be Michigan State here. Izzo this year, he's really kind of rejuvenated this program. We've seen over the past couple years, maybe he was on his way out a little bit. They're kind of down, but he's playing old school basketball this year, which should not work at all, but it is working. MSU is very streaky with their shooting. They're not great shooters by any means, but somehow they find a way to get to the basket and put up points and just lock you down defensively. And I don't see a way Bryant gets past that defense. It's going to be overwhelming for them. Bryant's going to struggle to score. And yeah, MSU is this is going to be a double-digit win for MSU easily.
Yeah, it's an interesting game. I mean, the young guys, Richardson especially, have really been stepping up for Michigan State. However, Bryant is not your typical 15 seed. Phil Martelli has some experience up against Izzo as an assistant at Michigan. So he does have that going for them. And Bryant does have transfers from Miami. and St. John's. So they're not a typical 15. There is some talent on this team. Now, they play extremely fast, which is typically not a good recipe to pull off an upset, especially against a well-coached defensive-minded team. So I think Michigan State wins. However, if Bryant's down 2 at half, I will not be surprised at all. I'll definitely be playing Bryant in the first half. You can probably get plus 10 to 12. I think that's a good bet, fading some of these blue bloods on the first half. But no, it's an interesting game. So Bryant definitely has the talent, closer to a 13 or 14. So I think they can hang with him for a half here.
All right. Jumping down to the West, Florida versus Norfolk State. Florida dominate everybody in the SEC championship. So do they keep rolling?
Yep, Florida by 50. The MEAC is awful.
Yeah.
No problem there. Easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone's got Florida as a favorite to possibly win it this year, and there's a reason for that. This is a great team, and they're rolling. This is just a recipe to go far in this tournament, if not win it all.
Yeah, basically have nine guys who can shoot the three. That's all you need, and they can play defense.
All right. Last year's winner, UConn, 8 seed this year against Oklahoma.
Yeah, I still got UConn winning this. Down year for them, but Danny Hurley is a great coach. I think he's going to outcoach Porter Moser in this. I don't think Oklahoma has a chance. Oklahoma, they also can't shoot. They're a team that can't shoot. UConn just has too many guys for them, and they're outcoached. Now I'll say UConn's not going to get past Florida, but they'll certainly get past Oklahoma.
Yeah, I lean UConn here as well. I think they'll overwhelm Oklahoma on the glass. As much as I love Porter Moser, I mean, he had those great runs with Loyola a few years ago. I just think UConn's too much here, just too much talent. Honestly, I don't think Oklahoma is a top 50 team. So they have no interior defense. They can't rebound. They don't force turnovers. They really do nothing special. So it's going to come down to whether or not they hit shots. At the end of the day, UConn's finally getting a little bit healthy. They have the experience. I think they're too much here.
Yeah, and while Porter Moser's a Chicagoland legend for those runs with Loyola, I would not be shocked if they lose this game and he gets fired.
Fired?
I think he's on the hot seat big time.
Really?
All right. Back to the Mountain West with Memphis and Colorado State. Colorado State has been on fire lately. I think they've won their last 10 games.
Yeah. Earlier I had mentioned how I thought Louisville was a little underseeded. Here, Memphis is overseeded. They're not a 5. Colorado State's been rolling. If anything, Colorado State might be a little underseeded at 12. I just don't think Memphis has what it takes to beat Colorado State. Would it be shocking if Memphis somehow wins? No, but there's a reason that Colorado State's the 12 seed and they're favored.
Yeah, so I know the chat was asking for one of my best bets around the game. As underseeded as Memphis, or as overseeded as Memphis is, I mean, them being a 5 and Gonzaga's an 8 is ridiculous. Memphis's resume is not good. I mean, 3 years ago they got a 9, and they were much better than this team. I don't know how they got a 5. It's the most overseeded team in the tournament. However, it's the Mountain West. It's Colorado State. As hot as they are, their coach Medvedev, he's got 1 foot out the door. He's coming to Minnesota, my school. He's a good coach. And the talent gap here, it's just too much. I know Memphis maybe without their point guard, but these are 5-star guys on the court, and their strength of schedule was not good. But early in the season, they showed up against some big time teams on neutral courts. Colorado State has nowhere near that level to go to. Memphis's A game is about 10 points better than Colorado State's A game. So I think Memphis dominates this game. I really do. I know they're underdogs. It's my favorite bet. They're plus 120 to win this game. But best bet for me the first round. I was getting coffee at work today, and people were talking up Colorado State. They thought they had a good underdog pick as a 12 seed. They're favored, so it's not that sneaky of a pick. But no, Memphis should roll here, even without the point guard Hunter. They still have Haggerty, and as long as Dane Danger does not go 3 of 13 from the free throw line again, like he did 2 games ago, should be a breeze for them. I really don't see how Colorado State hangs with this team.
All right. Maryland, who I thought was going to roll through the Big Ten tournament versus Grand Canyon.
Yeah, this has got to be Maryland. I do like that Maryland didn't win the Big Ten championship. They're getting a little extra day's rest. And I think that can sometimes be important going into the tournament itself. Yeah, Maryland they're going to be too athletic, too good on defense for Grand Canyon. Derek Queen is going to give Grand Canyon's bigs problems.
Yeah, Maryland's legit. They are a top 10 team in my opinion. As much as I love Grand Canyon, they force a lot of turnovers. They're a great team to pull an upset, but Maryland is just too strong. The size with Reese and Queen inside, it's going to be overwhelming. Canyon's too small. Maryland should win by double digits.
All right. Missouri versus Drake. Drake is 30-3, so really good year for them.
Yeah, I got Drake pulling off the upset here. Somewhat of a trendy pick as well for the upset, but I don't trust Mizzou at all. I think they rely a little too much on their pieces who are coming off the bench, and when it's March, you got to have your starters being the ones who are doing all the work for you. And for that reason, I'm taking Drake. They're rolling into this red hot.
Yeah, I like both of these teams. I'm a little disappointed they got matched up against each other. I think Missouri is a top 15 team. I think Drake's a top 30 team. So these are 2 really good teams in a 6-11. As much as I love Sturts and Drake, I think Missouri is really good. Defense at time lacks, but a lot of that is they take a lot of risks on defense. They're a top 5 in offensive efficiency, closer to 40th on defensive efficiency, but they do force a lot of turnovers. And if your defense is not good, that is one way to kind of neutralize that. So they take chances. They can get out in transition. They take a lot of threes. I think they have the athletes here. Mark Mitchell inside. He didn't play the last game against Florida. And I thought Missouri looked pretty good in that game. They hung with Florida. They got 15 offensive rebounds. They won the turnover battle. I think this is a really dangerous team. As much as I like Drake, Sturts, he's going to play 40 minutes for Drake. I just think Mizzou's too much here, and I really like Mizzou. I think they have a good chance to make the Elite Eight in this region. So, yeah, I hate going against Drake. I love the coach. He'll probably be one and done there. I've heard some Iowa rumors, but yeah, I think Missouri is legit. They can make a deep run here as a 6 seed. Austin, do you think Drake can keep up with Missouri's pace?
I think they can. I think their shot making ability is going to be able to keep up with what Mizzou is going to bring to the table.
Yeah,
right.
No, Drake will make shots. I'm a little worried that we'll look up at halftime and see Drake has 12 turnovers in the first half. So that's my biggest concern. I like this Drake team, but they do get a little bit sloppy with the ball. So yeah, that's probably my favorite game of the day. So looking forward to it.
All right. What do you guys think about the Texas Tech UNC Wilmingham game?
Yeah. Going with the favorite here again, Texas Tech. JT Toppin, what he's doing this year is it's fun to watch. I just don't see how they stop Toppin. No stop Toppin.
Yeah, it's another banged up team similar to Iowa State. they should have no problem here. Wilmington is really good as an underdog, though, so that is something to keep an eye out. I love the coach, so it's another potential first half bet here. If you can get double digits with Wilmington, I think that's worth taking. So definitely check that out. And the Big 12 in general, I am not high on. It's just a sloppy brand of basketball. So I will be looking to fade the Big 12 in this tournament. I think Texas Tech's a little bit overrated. So yeah, if you can get Wilmington in the first half, if you can get 10 points, I would take it. Probably be closer to 8 or 9. So yeah, one of my better bets.
This next game, I feel like it has a kind of a big storyline of Kansas as a 7 seed, which normally we see them top 2, 3 seed versus Arkansas. So Bill Self versus Calipari with his new team. Who takes this one?
Yeah, I don't think either of these teams are that great this year. I do slightly like Arkansas winning this game for one reason. They have Boogie Flan coming back from injury. Standout freshman, should be a pretty high pick in the draft this year, and I think guard play matters a lot in this tournament. And Calipari loves letting his guards play almost the entirety of the game. He keeps a short bench, and he's been doing that again this year at Arkansas. And I really don't like Kansas outside of Hunter Dickinson.
Is Flan good? Is he ready to go?
Yeah,
He's banked up in the
playing.
SEC tourney. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he's back too. I think Thero's out for a while.
Yeah.
Maybe if they made the second weekend, he'd be back, but it's unlikely. You're the first person I've heard who says they like Arkansas. Everyone's been on Kansas. I know Kansas is still a top 15 rated team metrics wise. I don't see it at all. I mean, outside of Dickinson, they have no NBA guys on that team. The talent's not there. I mean, they're bringing in transfers from South Dakota State. It's not your average Kansas team. So I think Arkansas has the talent edge here. I think 5 is too many points. So yeah, I would play Arkansas here. That's one of my better plays as well. And if Thiero does get back and Arkansas still is alive, they can make a run here too. Calipari, some of his better runs in the tourney have been with his underseeded teams. So we'll see.
All right, next game, St. John's, who keeps upsetting, or everybody thinks they're ready to lose, but they will not stop against Omaha.
Yeah, St. John's here. Similar story to MSU. Rick Pitino playing old school basketball this year. Doesn't have a great shot making on that team, but they get to the basket. They play insane defense. I mean, Omaha's really going to struggle trying to get to the basket and create shots here in this game. And yeah, it's got to be Pitino's team with St. John's. And then we're looking at that matchup of Pitino versus Cal in the round of 32, which I think is going to be great television if that happens. Those guys hate each other, and we need to see that matchup.
Yeah, hopefully we get it. I think the committee gave us some interesting matchups here. That's definitely one of them. But yeah, St. John's to breeze past this one. I think they win by 20 plus. Summit League does not fare well in this tournament. Defense plays early. And as much, I don't think St. John's will get very far in this tournament. I would not be shocked at all if they lost in the second round. At some point, you got to make shots, and St. John's they don't have that ability. They force turnovers. They're great defensively, but I think defense plays early, and offense usually shows up late. So they don't have it. I think they're a second weekend team at best. But yeah, no, they should breeze by Omaha.
Gatorbait with the great comment. I prefer to bet underdogs with coaches who are vastly out of shape and sweaty or can't stand. Is there an underdog team that fits that criteria this year?
Georgia State 2015. Oof. I'm not too familiar with all the coaches handicapping this. I would have to look into that, but it's a chalky tournament. I don't see many upsets. So,
yeah. All right, jumping over to the East, Duke versus American, and then Mount St. Mary. Cooper Flag. We don't really know how healthy he's going to be. How do you guys feel about this one?
Yeah, even without Cooper Flag, I got them making a deep run. I know Shire said Cooper Flag is going to be should be ready for Friday when they play, but it's going to be a matter of like how much pain he's going to be able to play through. He's obviously not going to be giving you as many minutes as you've seen him playing all year, but I think this team just has an insane amount of depth on them. John Shire is a great coach, and yeah, I see Duke rolling either of these teams, and I think Con Knipple is going to step it up a lot with those minutes that Cooper Flag is not going to be playing, and yeah, we should see Duke breeze through this side of the bracket, I think.
Yeah, I think Duke got the best draw of all the ones. I don't think they need Flag until the Elite Eight against a potential matchup with Bama. So Duke rolls here. They roll second round. They roll the Sweet 16. Yeah, Duke big. I was very impressed what they did without Flag in the ACC championship. So.
All right. Mississippi State versus Baylor. Is Knipple better than Flag? No.
Some are saying, some think that.
I might have a hot take on that.
All right, go for it.
We'll have to see at the next level.
Not to the next level.
I don't know. Cooper Flag could be a product of his environment here. I think Knipple's a great shot creator on his own.
All right, we'll see.
Not to say Cooper Flag's not great. He's a great player. But
well, he's going to stat stuff in Washington. Don't worry.
Yeah.
The Bulls can't tank enough for Flag.
No. What'll end up happening is the Spurs somehow get the number 1 pick and just build a super team.
Well, maybe the Bulls can snag Knipple, who's better than Flag.
Yeah. All right, Mississippi State versus Baylor.
Yeah, I got Mississippi State here. Scott Drew's team this year doesn't really impress me outside of VJ Edgecombe. He's a freshman. You know, you need some experience in this tournament. You can't have your best player being a freshman. Nowadays with the transfer portal, that's kind of a thing of the past. In Mississippi State, they're very physical. They play great defense. I see them coming out of this game. This will be a good matchup just because it's just going to be freak athletes going at each other the whole game, but I see Mississippi State coming out on top.
Yeah, it should be a chaotic game. Again, I'm fading the Big 12 here. I think Mississippi State wins. I think they're a small favorite now, so I would lay those points. But no, I trust Jams over Drew here. I don't love either team. They're both waiting to lose to Duke in the next round. But yeah, I give the slight edge to Miss State here.
All right, Oregon Liberty.
Yeah, I'm rolling with the Ducks here. They've been starting to heat up towards the end of the year in the Big Ten, and it's a Power 4 school with athletes. I don't see how they lose to Liberty here at all.
Yeah, I think Oregon is severely overseeded as well. I don't know how they got a 5. Liberty's legit. They can defend. They turn you over. I think they knock off Oregon here. This is one of my few upset picks of the first round here. I'll be on Liberty money line. I think Oregon stinks. As much as I like Dana Altman here as a tournament coach, they're not good this year. I don't trust them at all. I don't like their interior. They have no shot blockers. So I think Liberty can force some turnovers on them. They're a great shooting team. I think Liberty's legit. I think they can make some noise here. I think they have the chance to get to the Sweet 16.
I'm looking at the stats for Liberty. Somehow they're shooting 50% from the field, but 66% from free throw. So that's special.
Yeah, that is concerning, but at least they don't get to the free throw line a lot, and Oregon doesn't foul. So, yeah, 40% from three, but they're 350th in free throw percentage. That is surprising.
Yeah, it's wild. All right, Arizona versus Akron. Is this the only MAC team that made it?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, MAC a one bid league usually. They've had some success. Kent State a couple of years ago knocked off Virginia. Arizona, I think Caleb loves a little bit too much here. I don't love this Arizona team. I don't trust Tommy Lloyd, but they do have a severe talent edge here. I think they get by Akron. Akron may hang around for the first half, but eventually Arizona is just going to be too much with Bradley and Love at the guard. Just too many shot makers, too many guys that can get to the rim. Arizona wins this game, but again, I don't think they get very far. Sweet 16 maybe, but if they do advance, I think Liberty has a good chance to knock them off in round 2 as well.
Yeah, Sam, I got Arizona here too. Not great from the 3-point line, but they find a way to get to the basket, and they are very good at hitting their free throws, which I think is going to matter in this game. They're going to have better athletes than Akron has, and I think they'll be getting hacked going to the rim and get those free throws. I don't see how Akron wins this game.
Yeah, a lot of these lower seeds, they play at a high tempo. This year, it really typically does not fare well for the Dogs. You got to slow the game down. Akron likes to run, and Arizona is going to match them. So Arizona should win handily here.
Yep. Next game, 2 red hot teams going against each other. BYU versus VCU.
Yeah, I got VCU here with the upset. BYU's rolling into this hot. Loves to shoot the 3 and loves to make the 3. That's not VCU's strong suit. They shoot a lot of 3s, but they're not hitting them at a high enough rate for my liking. But I think VCU's defense here is going to be a little too much for BYU, who is going to rely on their shot making.
Yeah, interesting game. VCU, another trendy dog. I do like them here. I think they'll turn BYU over. Really, both teams here I'm not in love with. I think both will lose to Wisconsin in the next round. So I give the slight edge to BYU. I think they win. Should be a close game. But
this will be a really close game.
Yeah, definitely one of the better games of the day. But I don't think either's a threat to make a run.
All right, Wisconsin, Montana. Wisconsin had a rough loss to Michigan at the end of the game for the Big Ten title. Do they bounce back?
Yeah, I think Wisconsin bounces back here. Nothing about Montana scares me when it comes to this Wisconsin matchup. Wisconsin, 27 in the country in defense on KenPom, 13 in offense. I mean, that's a recipe for a winning team in March. I don't see how Wisconsin loses this game. They're going to come in motivated after that Michigan game, and I think they'll make a little run here.
Yeah, as tired as Wisconsin looked on Sunday after going four games in 4 days. Now they're going to Colorado. If this was Bryant, I would be worried. But Montana, they don't have the guys. They have no size. Their best player is a 6'8" big man who takes about a quarter of their shots. It's not going to work against Wisconsin. The defense is too tough inside. Wisconsin will make enough shots here. I think it'll be a low-scoring game. So maybe look at the under here. But I think Wisconsin gets through even on short rest. Should not be a problem here. And I do think Wisconsin will get past either BYU or VCU. So I have Wisconsin 40-1 to make the Final Four. So we'll see. But definitely rooting for them.
All right. St. Mary's versus Vandy. St. Mary's, I feel like they always find like sneaky good players from other countries. I know it was Australia for years, and I think this time they're running with a couple Lithuanian players. So do they take down Vandy?
Yeah, I got St. Mary's here. Vandy this year has been a surprising team for me. They've stuck around in a lot of games and have pulled off some really good upsets this year. And they're kind of like this little feisty team that can sneak up on you and maybe give you a good game on just a random night without you seeing it coming. But I think St. Mary's here is going to be too overwhelming with their shot making ability. They're going to be hitting threes. I don't think Vandy can keep up with that pace of offense.
Yeah, St. Mary's definitely is going to slow the game down. Now, first one to 60 probably wins this game. St. Mary's, typically they're a good first-round team. I know last year Grand Canyon upset them in the first round. They kind of overwhelmed them with their athleticism. Vanderbilt cannot do that. St. Mary's should win here. They'll slow the game down. And typically St. Mary's falters in the second round against a much more talented team. But Vanderbilt is not that. St. Mary's should win here. I would lay the 4 points there.
All right. Alabama versus Robert Morris. Does Alabama bounce back after getting blown out by Florida?
Yeah, I think Alabama's taken this. Great, high-powered offense here. We've seen NATO's offense, and it's hard to beat and it's hard to keep up with. The only place Alabama's susceptible is their defense at times can be a little lackluster. But with the guys they have, I don't think that is going to be a problem for them with Robert Morris. I think Alabama's offense wins them this game.
Yeah, was not impressed at all with Robert Morris in the conference tournament. The Horizon League they performed pretty well, at least in terms of covering the last few years in the tournament. But I mean, Robert Morris, they should have lost to Oakland in the semis of the conference tournament. So I don't see them having any success here against Alabama, even without Grant Nelson. Bama's got the best point guard in the country. If there's a threat to Duke in this region, it's clearly Bama. All dependent on the health of Grant Nelson. To make a run in the tournament, you need a rim protector. It just gives you so many more options on defense. It allows the guards to take risks, force turnovers, get out in transition. So if Nelson's not playing, it's really going to limit the long-term of success of Bama going forward. But I don't see anyone stopping them to the Elite Eight. So they'll roll Robert Morris, and I see them winning a few more rounds. But
Yeah, I love Mark Sears for this Bama team. I mean, he's a smaller guard, but he finds a way to get to the basket. He's fast, he's athletic, and he draws a lot of fouls whenever he's going to the rim.
Yeah, he's great at keeping defenders on his hip. Just always in control of the ball. He does not turn it over. If there's a guy, last possession, I want the ball in his hands, it's Mark Sears. We saw that against Auburn late in the year. So, yeah, Bama's legit. They're a national title threat as much as I love the 1 seeds. If there is a 2 that's going to make a run, it is Bama. So,
All right. Jumping down to the Midwest. Houston rolling versus Southern Illinois Edwardsville. I think this is their first time in the tournament. Kind of a rough matchup for them.
Yeah, Houston, defensive team here. For me, I think their offense has been a little up and down this year. Their shooting is not great at times. Sometimes they can have a great shooting night. Other nights, they're not having a great shooting night, but their defense can bail them out. With that being said, they're winning this game, but I don't see them going too far in the tournament. Somebody said earlier, which 1 seed do you see falling the first weekend, if any? It could be Houston on the weekend, I think. I think they could be the 1 seed that's knocked out over the weekend.
yeah, I think we're in agreement of taking Gonzaga over Georgia.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, if we just want to jump ahead, I mean, Houston, they can name the number against Edwardsville. I think they're 30-point favorites. They could win by 50 if they really wanted to.
So you both have Gonzaga taking Georgia, which Gonzaga, another team that's historically been a pretty high seed, dropped down to 8 this year.
Yeah, definitely underseeded. If you look at all the wise guys in Vegas, the power ratings, they're closer to the 3 line. Personally, I have them lower. I don't see it. I thought they were fortunate to beat St. Mary's in the West Coast Championship. I mean, St. Mary's is 0 of 16 from 3. You're not going to see a team make 0 threes. So I think Houston's going to overwhelm Gonzaga. They're going to force turnovers. They're going to kill them on the offensive glass. I have not been impressed with this Gonzaga team all year. And as much as people are saying they're underseeded, I think 6 to 8 is about right for them. Houston should have no trouble with Gonzaga.
Yeah, I just think Gonzaga is going to be motivated, especially after that St. Mary's game and not having the greatest of years. I trust Mark Few going into this tournament, and I love Nemhard. Guard play, like I said, matters, and I think he's going to have a big tournament this year.
They couldn't even beat your Cats.
That was early in the year. And
Th-
you don't want to
those are-
see a healthy Cats team.
Those early in the year neutral games, you got to look at those. Those are key. Those are key for the tournament. But no, I mean, Houston's underrated. They're finally getting healthy. I think Roberts will be back. He's one of the best shot blockers in the country. From everything I've read, I think he'll be back. I would be shocked if Gonzaga gets by Houston. I really would. I know that's a trendy pick, but I would be shocked. So maybe a small little side bet on that one, Austin.
All right.
I'll give you 6 points.
All right. Clemson, McNeese State. I know McNeese State is a trendy pick for an upset.
Yeah. Trendy pick here. I think that's warranted. I'm not going against Will Wade. I think he gets it done. Great coach. We saw that at LSU. He was a great coach. At McNeese, he's really out recruited what the program typically gets, and he's gotten some really good guys there. And yeah, I think he's going to give Clemson some trouble. And I would not be surprised if we see Will Wade at a big school again soon.
Yeah, probably Wade's last year here at McNeese, but yeah, no, they're legit. They're not the talent level of that McNeese typically brings in. So Clemson will be in for a rude awakening. McNeese is legit. They're going to turn you over. They're not going to turn it over. They're going to make threes. So McNeese is a legit team. They could definitely make a run in this tournament. But I do love Clemson's coach. They made a deep run in the tournament last year. They pretty much bring all of those guys back. So it will be a tough matchup for McNeese. It's a well-coached Clemson team. I think the line's a little bit high. I think I saw 7 or 8. I lean McNeese there. But for them to win this game, I think it'll be tough. Clemson's very well-coached. They play smart. So we'll see. Should be a good game. That's one of the more entertaining games of the day.
All right. Purdue versus High Point. High Point is a very high-scoring offense, and Purdue, they're such a weird team in the tournament. They always end up losing to someone they should beat. So does High Point pull this out?
I think they can. Yeah. Just based on what their offense can do. Purdue hasn't really done anything to impress me this year. And there's been some rumors lately of Braden Smith already looking to go elsewhere next year for his final year of college basketball. So, I mean, in my mind, that just makes me wonder if some of this team's already checked out going into the tournament. I know they're going to be locked in, and Painter's going to be rallying the troops here, but I just don't think this is Purdue's year to do anything.
Yeah, both teams are extremely well coached here. Painter does more with little than anyone else in the country. I mean, you look at the talent on the team; it's just not there. They lost Edie this year, and since January, they are last in the country in 2-point defense, which says a lot for a Big Ten team, who typically prides himself on a good D. So High Point, luckily for Purdue, can't play any defense either, so there should be plenty of points here. I really hate betting on underdogs that can't play defense in the first round. it may be worth taking High Point on the money line here just because it's a high variance game. But there should be a lot of points. I think Purdue advances. I think this little region of the bracket here in Providence. So Clemson, Purdue, McNeese, and High Point. If there was a 12-13 I had to pick to get to the Sweet 16, it probably would come from this Providence region. I don't know. Clemson and Purdue are just overseeded teams here. So, but I do think Purdue losing in the Big Ten tournament was the best thing that could happen to them. Gives Painter a little bit more time to implement some stuff. So we'll see. I think Purdue gets by here. But no, High Point definitely dangerous. They could drop 90 on you.
All right, moving on to my team, Illinois, which is I don't even know how to describe them. 1 week, one game, they could look like a top 10 team in the nation, and then they play Duke and lose by 50. So do they beat Texas or Xavier?
Yeah, pretty inconsistent this year from Illinois. Definitely not Brad Underwood's best roster he's ever had. I think they're winning this game, though, still. I think they got too much talent over Texas and Xavier to lose to either of those teams, and I've got Illinois making it to Sunday.
Young team with Illinois, which concerns me a little bit. I think if they draw Xavier, they should breeze by them. But Texas does scare me a little bit. They have size. They're talented. Rodney Terry, I think he can get his guys motivated to get up against Illinois. So Texas would concern me a little bit, but Illinois is definitely the more talented team. Illinois is a bracket buster team. They could lose in the first round or they could make the Final Four. Neither would shock me. They've played down against competition all year. They've really struggled against better teams. So I think they get by either team here, but them losing would not shock me at all. So if Texas does win, I will be playing Texas money line. It's an interesting game here.
Yeah, if they do end up drawing Texas, I think Trey Johnson's going to give them a lot of problems. But I think overall Illinois will have the better roster. Trey Johnson's really only the one special player that Texas has. I mean, they're going to have to run everything through him, and I just don't think that's a good thing when in this tournament. Illinois has a good, solid team. They have solid coaching. I think they win.
Yeah, 15 lost Texas.
All right, Austin, your team, Kentucky. Do they take down Troy?
Yep. Calipari's gone. It's a new era in the Bluegrass, and I got Kentucky taking Troy. Now, Troy has some guys who are some lethal shooters if they get going, like a Jack Golke type that we saw last year with Oakland. But I think Kentucky wins this game. Lamont Butler's coming back off an injury, and I think he's the most pivotal piece in this Kentucky offense. He really drives the defense and locks up other teams' guards, and that's going to matter in this tournament, especially with a smaller school like Troy. Having Lamont Butler back is going to be huge, and Kentucky wins this easily.
Yeah, I saw Kentucky experiment with some zone a little bit at the end of the year. If there was going to be a time to break it out, probably would be against Troy, who does struggle to shoot. But Troy, they're a dangerous team as a kind of a upset-minded team. I mean, they force a ton of turnovers. They're really good on the offensive glass. They're a physical team. I think there's a chance they can overwhelm Kentucky here, who really cannot play defense at all. I think Troy's going to be able to get to the rim. And do enough here. So again, fading the Blue Bloods in the first half has been a really good gambling method here in the past few years. So I'll definitely be on Troy in the first half. It's one of my favorite bets of the tournament. Kentucky should win. I mean, they have a much better shooting team. I mean, they shoot 40% for three. They really should roll over Troy. But Troy is an interesting team. They present a lot of matchup troubles. They switch very well on defense. So if there's a team that can challenge Kentucky, I think it is this Troy team. I was surprised to see them this low seeded. I was really impressed with them in their conference tournament. So I think Troy, if they're up at halftime, I will not be shocked at all. And Mark Pope has not done well in the first round of the tournament. So we'll see. They got rid of Calipari to go farther in the tournament, but Pope has not been able to do that. So I don't know. I'd be a little worried if I was a Cats fan.
Hey, as long as we win our first game this year, I'm fine with that.
You'd be fine with a round of 2 exit against Illinois.
Well, I might have him making a little Elite Eight push.
I think Kentucky's a year away. I think Pope needs his guys. I like him, but I don't know. Troy scares me.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's all going to depend on Lamont Butler being back, which he is, but he's pretty banged up coming into this. So if he can stay healthy, I think Kentucky has some really good matchups. This is a little bit of a weaker region that I like for Kentucky. But if Lamont Butler's out or goes down during that game, I still think Kentucky wins, but it might get a little close because outside of him, we're down all our other point guards, and there's nobody who can bring the ball up the court.
Yeah, agree.
All right, back to the Mountain West. Apparently, they got like 5 or 6 teams in here. It's surprising.
Yeah,
Utah
they always get
State
5
versus
teams
UCLA.
They always have 5 teams in. They always lose. So UCLA here rolls, lay the 5. Another one of my better bets.
Yeah, I think UCLA is just too good defensively for Utah State to do anything. It's going to be one of the best defenses that Utah State's come up against this year, and it's going to be a problem for them for sure.
Yep, defense plays early. UCLA, elite defense. They're going to turn you over. I don't see Utah State doing much. So UCLA, big.
All right, and then last game of the first round, Tennessee, who played pretty well against Florida till Florida kind of ran away at the end of the game against Wofford.
Yeah, I got Tennessee here. Their defense, again, is too good. Great defense coming out of Rick Barnes' team, per usual. And I really like Zakai Ziegler, another smaller guard who's really fast but can protect the ball, make shots when he needs to, get to the rim when he needs to. I really like Wofford as a team, but I just can't see them getting past Tennessee here. Yeah, it's got to be Tennessee.
Yeah, Wofford couldn't keep Furman out of the lane. I don't know how they're going to keep Ziegler out of the lane. Tennessee rolls. I think they're an 18-point favorite. I would lay that. I think they win by 20 plus. And
right.
Tennessee's another team. If you want to pick a 2 seed, stay away from the 1s. Try to separate yourself a little bit from the competition. I think Tennessee's another team. If you want to pick a little upset of a champion, Tennessee's a good pick. Them in Alabama. If you're trying to stay away from the 1s. So
keep in mind though, never made a Final Four. So is this the year they can do it?
They haven't, but they had some bad luck against Purdue a few years ago. Ran into a good Duke team a couple of years ago. So I trust Ziegler. He's a senior. I think he'll go out strong. I think they win this region.
All right. Who are some players that we should kind of be watching from maybe some of the smaller teams, or he's just not on the national stage as much that will probably ball out?
From the smaller schools, I know I bashed Lipscomb earlier, but their big man Agnatovich, he can do it all. He can shoot threes. I think he's a guy that can go give you 20 points. Do I think he'll have much success in the first round matchup? No, but definitely one of the better players on the mid majors in the country. He's really versatile. He has the ball in his hands a lot, very high usage rate. He's one of the big men who can pass the ball, shoot, kind of a triple threat guy. So I think he's kind of an X factor in the first game. One of the more interesting players from the mid majors.
All right.
Yeah, I'll give you one more. Donovan Newby at Wilmington. He carried their team throughout their conference tournament. It's really impressive with him. He can get any shots he wants. He's really good in the pick and roll. So if Tech is not healthy in that first round matchup, I think he's a matchup nightmare. He can get to the hoop. He can step out and hit threes. So watch out for him in that first round matchup. I think he's a real difference maker.
Yeah, one that I like that'll be a fan favorite just to watch in the tournament. Well, I don't think Wofford's gonna do anything special and upset Tennessee. Kyler Filowich, their big man. He's a bigger bodied boy. He shoots granny style from the free throw line, and I think he's gonna maybe put on a little show. He'll be a bright spot in that Tennessee blowout.
Yeah, how awesome would it be if it was late in the game and he was at the line down 2?
That's great. You guys kind of talked about it before, but out of the 1s and 2 seeds, you guys said Houston and St. John's are probably the most vulnerable. Do you see anybody else losing the first weekend?
I just can't. Like I said at the beginning, this is a really, really top heavy year, and these 1s and 2s are gonna have a hard time getting kicked out of this tournament. Like I said, Houston, I think will make it to the second game and get upset by Gonzaga. St. John's, I think they'll make a good run, but eventually their lack of offense will get them a loss. But as far as Auburn, Florida, Duke, Tennessee, those teams, I just can't see them not making a push for the title.
Yeah, I think it's chalky. I think the SEC advances. Michigan State and St. John's, though, I don't trust either team to score. They're very good defensively. They'll get by the first round matchups, but in that second round, they're going to have a couple tough matchups. I mean, there's a chance St. John's is going to draw Arkansas or Kansas, who may be more talented than St. John's. So I would not be shocked at all to see St. John's go out early. Michigan State as well. They're a young team. Typically in the tournament, young teams off big efforts, they struggle. They drop off. I trust Izzo to get them going, but if they're not hitting their shots, I don't see many ways for them to score. They don't turn other teams over. So they're definitely vulnerable. Them and St. John's. I think they're first weekend teams. I really do.
Yeah, those two schools, MSU and St. John's, it's really just going to be how good can their defense play throughout each game, and what can both coaches do to make adjustments mid-game if the offense starts to really struggle.
Right. And, you look at team builds, teams that do well in the tournament. They have a rim protector. They have a big man, and then they have 4 guards who can all shoot. And St. John's and Michigan State, they don't have that. I think they're prone to being upset. I don't trust the guards enough, and the big men inside. I just don't think they're skilled enough. So yeah, if there's 2 seeds that are going to get knocked out early, it's Michigan State and St. John's.
All right. We kind of talked about some of the lower seeds, but do you have a favorite lower seed that you think will make the Sweet 16 or further?
Yeah, Carolina, as we mentioned, I know they're an 11 seed. It's an atypical Carolina 11 seed, but they are a lower seed, so I'll pick them to go to the Sweet 16. And Liberty, they're kind of my smaller school. I have not heard many people talking about Liberty this tournament. They've been a pretty trendy pick the past few years coming out of the A-Sun, but no, I think this is their best team in the last 5 years. So I think they can make some noise.
Yeah, for me, it's a trendy pick, Yale. I think they can make it to the Sweet 16. I have them in my Sweet 16 matchup, losing to Auburn. But yeah, I just love the way they play. I think they have a great coach in James Jones, and I'm surprised he's still at Yale. He's been winning there for several seasons, and I'm shocked he hasn't gotten a job elsewhere with a bigger program.
All right. Eric, you've talked about betting for most of this. What are you kind of looking for in these first round games when you're betting?
Yeah, so in the first round, one of my favorite bets is looking at the Blue Bloods. And the public loves them. They get a ton of money on them. And usually the point spread's inflated. So taking the smaller seeds in the first halves particularly. So you look at Michigan State, you look at Duke. Those are amongst the high-seeded blue bloods this year. I would be taking the opponents in the first half. Usually talent takes away in the second half. So you can get a true number on that first half. That's what I would look at. And then in terms of other teams pulling upsets for some lower teams, I tend to favor teams that can play defense out of the mid-majors. So when you're not scoring, you need to be able to create points other ways. So if these smaller schools can force turnovers, if they can get offensive rebounds, those are some key things to look for. I try to avoid the smaller schools that are more finesse teams, such as Lipscomb. They don't force turnovers. They're not good on the offensive glass. So tend to avoid those teams. So the Vermonts, the Colgates, the past couple of years, I try to stay away from those teams. But if you can get a hard-nosed team, such as Troy, they force turnovers, they're going to get extra shots. Look for those teams. They're a little undervalued since people fall in love with the three-point shot, but you can get some value with those teams.
Yeah, and then I'd say also just with 12 through 15 seeds, those first 2 days, don't be afraid to sprinkle the money line on a few of those teams each day. Those teams throughout the entire history of this tournament have upset a high seed in the first 2 days at some point. If you can hit one or two of those with a decent money line, like, you're going to be up money on that day, just betting those like 12 through 15 seeds.
Yeah, typically the low seeds, they struggle because they don't have a big man. That's the biggest difference between the mid-majors and some of the Power 4 teams. Everyone has guards. They all have quick guards, but the big man's really the key. So if you do have a big man that can protect the rim on a smaller school, that's critical. So look for that as well.
All right. We're going to be wrapping it up soon, but who do you guys have in your Final Four?
Yeah, for me, pretty chalky. For in San Antonio, I got Auburn and Florida matching up, and then I have Duke going against Gonzaga. I got Gonzaga making, I don't even know if I would call it a Cinderella run, but I just think they're going to be a team that's going to give a lot of people trouble throughout this tournament. And I like Mark Few. I trust Mark Few. I don't think they'll get it done, but I think they can make a deep run just based on their guard play and their coaching.
Yeah, for me, pretty chalky as well. I actually haven't filled out a bracket yet, but I think Duke wins it all. So I've got Duke. I think Tennessee gets there. I think Rick Barnes finally gets it done. I think he gets over Houston. So I'll go Duke and Houston, and the opposite side of the bracket. I really want to pick Texas A&M, but them getting past Yale does scare me a little bit. So probably go Auburn in the South and in the West. Probably another one, Florida. But yeah, so pretty chalky. I've got 3 1s and a 2. And I don't think you need to take many shots on your bracket this year. I mean, it's the top 4 seeds are just that much better, just about the matchups you get, right? So if you compare the right 2 teams in the final, I think that's what it's going to come down to in the bracket pool. Don't pick too many upsets early. You get those 2 teams right in the championship. That's what it's going to come down to. So I think Duke's the best team. I think Duke over. I'll go Duke over Florida.
Yeah, and then I got Auburn over Duke in the final. I think Bruce Pearl gets it done this year. And overall, I think this tournament will be a little more chalky than most years. If we saw anything in the conference tournaments, it's that there wasn't too much chaos happening this year. And if that's a reflection of how this tournament's going to go, then a lot of the favorites are going to end up winning. But we'll see some upsets. But I'd expect there to be a little less upsets this year than we've seen in previous years.
Yeah, we'll get the upsets. Just don't bet on the Mountain West and don't bet on the Big 12. Those are my words of advice.
All right, Eric. I like that you're more worried about Yale for Texas A&M than Auburn. I love it.
Well, yeah, it's it's Yale, it's the Ivy League. They're gonna
Yeah.
outsmart A&M. They can shoot. So
Yeah.
if they get by
All right.
that game, though, I mean, they can give Auburn a hell of a game. So we'll see.
All right. I had Auburn, Florida, Duke, and Tennessee, and then Duke and Florida in the finals, and Florida taking it all. All right. That's going to be all for us today. Thanks for joining us. Austin and Eric, if you want to say where people can find you online, if you have an online presence.
No online presence for me. I stay off the grid.
If you want to be my 59th follower on X, at Eric Ripley. So that's where you can find me.
All right, perfect. Thanks for joining us tonight. Everybody have a good night. The Bulls are starting, so I'm going to go watch that. Thanks for joining us.
Go T-Wolves.